Hey there, and welcome back to Swept Media here at the convergence of AI and Web3. It's been a while since we've done any of these regular updates. I've been really busy securing podcast guests, recording those podcasts, editing them, and of course, working on a new design for a website. Like, we talked to Aether, co-founder of Aether, a couple of weeks ago in Seoul. We talked to another guy from Aether in Bangkok, but we didn't get a chance to put that one out. We re-recorded it in Seoul, two of them. Then we talked to Jinx, the head of operations for Pocket Network. That was a really interesting conversation. And a few others that have just been really interesting. Like, there's a lot of great AI builders out there who want to share their ideas, and soon we'll be also unveiling a new website. Sweptpod.com is going to get a total glow up. Can't wait to show it to you. I can't recommend the people who helped me with the UX enough. It's been great working with them. But in the meantime, we're going to do this latest update about MAIAR. MAIAR, you may remember I've talked about them a few times on this show, because it's one of those things that, like, they're building for the long term, it seems like. And one thing I really appreciate about this project is when I talk to the lead developer, 0xpbit, he never has once brought up token price. He's never talked about, we're going to be adding liquidity, we'll be injecting liquidity, we're going to open a new liquidity pool on this DEX, we're going to be working on listings. Nothing like that. It's only ever been, we're building this, we're updating this. This is how the functionality of the project is improved with this latest update. And that inspires confidence in me that they're building something for the long term, and I can appreciate that. So that's why we're talking about this one. One of their latest updates is their integration with MCP, and I'll give a rundown of what all this stuff is. This was an article from about a week and a half ago called Beyond MCP, Advancing AI Integration with MAIAR's Plugin System. So essentially, MAIAR has built a plugin that integrates with MCP. The modal context protocol developed by Anthropic has emerged to significant advancement in AI integration. So what I'm going to do here is I'll read through this article and give some breakdown of it. We'll go to 0xpbit himself. I chatted with him on Discord about this topic, and he shared some of his thoughts about it, so we'll let him put it into his own words, and then we'll go to their latest update, which includes portions of this MCP stuff anyway. Just adds more context. The MCP, the Model Context Protocol, provides a standardized model-agnostic interface for connecting large language models, those are LLMs, with external tools, data sources, and applications. By defining a universal protocol for tool invocation, resource access, and prompt management, MCP simplifies the integration process, allowing developers to connect AI systems to various services. So, MCP is this thing made by Anthropic, and we all know Anthropic. Other LLMs can tap into Anthropic and basically use it as an engine to drive their processing. So they store all this data. They have a system in place to scrape data or process it in a particular way. Then Anthropic is there to power all of whatever that is that they have built, whatever type of agent they've built, and then they generate outputs that way. But there are some limitations to it. Lots of people use MCP. It's very, very common and very, very good, but there is a serious limitation with it, as described here. AI applications become more complex and multimodal. MCP's current architecture reveals certain limitations, notably the focus on the how of tool invocation, while lacking built-in orchestration capabilities to manage when and why tools should be used. So MAIAR has built something that fixes this limitation, or what they say fixes this limitation, by being able to scrape for events in real time. And those events, when they take place, they trigger other events on an LLM or on an AI system. So essentially, MAIAR's new plugin with this, the abstraction allows developers to utilize advanced AI functionalities without managing the underlying LLMs themselves. That's automation. The automation key is really important It's something that needs to be expanded on more and more, in my opinion, with AI technology. I mean, it's happening rapidly, very, very quickly. More and more automation is getting tied into probably things you're doing at your work. Furthermore, MAIAR introduces a robust trigger system that extends beyond traditional prompt-based agent invocation. For instance, the plugin GitHub not only provides access to GitHub tools, but also sets up webhooks that notify MAIAR agents of repository updates. This capability enables agents like Uranium CEO to respond proactively to changes, such as discussing updates on Discord. Now, let's take a look at what 0xPbit had to say. I asked him a few questions about how this thing works and why it does what it does. Essentially, he said, MAIAR now integrates with MCP, which means agents can use any tool that's been built for the MCP ecosystem. But it's important to understand how these systems differ and what this actually enables. So I've already explained what MCP is. Maybe I can go into its limitations a little more as characterized by the developer. MCP does not handle timing. There's no system in place to monitor events, basically sniffing for things that happen. Let's think about it as if you have an AI agent that does on-chain trading. If a certain price point is hit from a particular DEX, like let's say on Uniswap, one of their liquidity pools that you're tracking, price of a particular asset on one side of the pair reaches a point. And at that point, an event is triggered and the agent that you are using is able to execute a transaction on your behalf based on that event that has been sniffed out. MCP does not manage logic. It doesn't decide when or why to use the tool. That's left to the person writing the prompt, or to separate orchestration systems you would have to build yourself. So if you want to use an MCP tool, you need to prompt the model, include all the context, and then hope that it all works well. But there's no background process watching for things to happen. It's all reactive. You must ask it to do something. It is not going to act on its own. It's not going to be automatic. It might be able to tell you something is happening, but it cannot act. So what does MAIAR add on top? It adds both executors and triggers. Executors are tools, just like in MCP. They do something when called. That is a very standard thing. However, the trigger is the new part. Triggers are what causes these tools or full agents to run. These can be based on real-world events like a webhook from GitHub, a Discord message. That means MAIAR agents don't need to be prompted manually every time. They can listen for external events. And he gives an example. A new GitHub issue is opened. MAIAR sees the webhook, and then the agent summarizes the issue and posts it to Discord. In this situation, no human prompt was required. It just happened. There's something MCP does not do. There is no built-in way to watch for events or trigger an action in MCP. You have to bolt that on yourself, meaning you have to program that into, you have to write a script for it in whatever it is that you're using MCP for. MAIAR agents can now use these tools from MCP in response to real-world triggers. So is it real-time event detection? I asked him specifically, is it real-time event detection? This is a very important aspect. We all intuitively know what real-time means, but it is not that easy to understand. It may seem very common, like real-time. It's happening at all times. The moment it happens, with hardly a second delay, then you know. That's not exactly what it is in most cases, although it can be. What we can say is that it's not going to be a 24-hour update schedule. You're not going to get an update at 9 a.m. every day. It's not going to be a 1-hour thing. It's going to be in a very short and reasonable amount of time. Is it real-time event detection? He says yes. We use webhooks, subscriptions, or lightweight polling where needed, and it's efficient. You're not paying to keep an LLM on. This is another important aspect. To keep an LLM running and sniffing for something all the time, actively looking on-chain, for example, for something to happen, it's going to use compute, it's going to use energy, it's very inefficient. You have to keep that system running. It's not a great way to do things if you can automate it without having every system running. So this new plugin from MAIAR claims to be able to remedy that. I think this is great. Real time. This is something that's I can tell you that Google and AWS, they are working on these sort of things. They're working on a more robust whole product that utilizes this type of plugin. But it's more like a series of plugins. But the real-time detection and then the automatic trigger is something that they're working on. It's going to be very, very expensive. I mean, it already is. MAIAR cannot be nearly as expensive to run as what they are going to be offering to enterprises. And I don't know about functionality. I know what I've seen hasn't been impressive, but it was just kind of in beta mode, so it's hard to judge. But I would love to see this thing in action, MAIAR's thing in action. So the next thing that MAIAR's working on here is their latest update to 0.23.0. It's a minor update, I guess you could say, but it does kind of open the door for some more interesting things. This is more recent. This one was on, when was it released? I can't see, but it's much more recent. It's within the last week. So with this latest update, Codex and MCP arrives. Like I said, this is getting rolled into that minor update, this MCP thing, and then GPT 4.1 support is in, and their first release on the new developer pipeline goes live. They're almost ready for version 1. I wonder if that's going to be out of beta then. Let's see. MAIAR agents can keep entire project histories in memory, hold sprawling multi-threaded conversations, and achieve higher performance over other models. I don't know what that last part means, but I do know that GPT 4.1 has a lot, it's able to give you a lot more space with using less compute power. It's essentially much more efficient. MAIAR is now able to tap into that. So think about it like this. When you use ChatGPT and on the left side of your screen, you see all of your older conversations that you've had with it. Maybe you trained it to do a couple of different things in different threads. Storing that data requires compute. Obviously, you're not paying for it unless you pay for the premium, which gives you even better performance, but someone's paying for it. MAIAR is now able to tap into that sort of upgrade, that what GPT is able to do from that standpoint, and you can do that on a MAIAR AI agent. Next, Codex plugin, autonomous code runs in the terminal. Automation, man. Automation is where it's at. So Codex CLI distills ChatGPT grade reasoning into a command line tool that can read your repo, generate new files, and iteratively refactor on demand. By wiring it into MAIAR as an executor, we let agents trigger the Codex the moment an event fires. No human keystrokes required. Your agents can now code. Cool. Agents are coding on their own. I wonder how good the code is. What I've seen is agent-generated code is not great. It's more like having a junior developer around, which is still very useful. But being able to do that automatically, that could be interesting. Once they are able to make agents that can write code, and this is something Jinx told us a few weeks ago, that isn't buggy in its own right, that's going to be a huge advancement. And then, of course, the MCP stuff. So, MAIAR. Great stuff. I want to see someone build an amazing agent with MAIAR and just send this thing into the mainstream. And that's really the goal, I think, for them. But anyway, thanks a lot. Make sure you follow this channel and tell all your friends, share it with everybody. We're trying to do some growth here. Have a good one.